the smell of fresh-cut grass evaporating as you step into the pro shop. The driver in your hands is 5 years old. You've been aiming at a bigger number on a price tag, but the number that matters sits on the hosel of what you already own. A single screw and 2 degrees of rotation that unlock more carry than any $100 upcharge shaft ever could. The first adjustment is the simplest and most counterintuitive. Senior golfers lose ball speed, not launch angle, as they age. Your swing speed drops by roughly 2 miles per hour every 5 years after 55. A study from TrackMan's 2022 fitting database showed that golfers over 60 who carried a 10-degree driver regained 7 yards of carry by moving to 12 degrees of loft. You aren't looking for lower spin for distance. You're looking for higher launch to hold the ball in the air longer. A 3-degree increase in loft on a modern adjustable driver changes the dynamic loft delivered at impact by nearly 1 full degree. That is the difference between watching your drive duck into the first cut of rough and watching it settle on the short grass with a ball mark 2 feet from the landing. Second, face angle adjustment changes everything about where your miss goes, and most senior golfers are aiming with an open face without knowing it. If you've ever set up square to the target and watched your ball start right and fade further, your face is open by 1 or 2 degrees at address. On an adjustable driver, closing the face 1 degree turns a slice into a controlled draw without changing your swing path. The mechanism is in the adapter sleeve. You rotate it to the D or draw setting, and the face closes relative to the shaft. Your grip doesn't change, your stance doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the relationship between the club face and the target line at impact. A 2019 Golf Digest test found that amateur golfers who adjusted from neutral to 1 degree closed gained an average of 11 feet of left to right accuracy. That is the difference between searching for your ball in the rough and walking straight to your second shot. The second adjustment just showed you how a single twist can take a slice out of your game. If that surprises you, you're not alone. Most golfers never touch these settings. Subscribe to uncover more hidden upgrades like this, because the next adjustment might save you from an unnecessary purchase. In the comments, type face angle if you've ever tried closing the face, or never if this is the first you've heard of it. Third, the lie angle on a driver is not fixed the way most players believe. Most senior golfers deliver the club with a slightly flat swing plane, either because of posture changes with age or because the driver has become too upright for their natural address position. A driver that is 2 degrees too upright tilts the face left of your path at impact, producing a hook or a significant start line error. Adjusting the lie angle, which on many modern drivers is done through a different sleeve setting or by a qualified club fitter bending the hosel, squares the face to the ground at impact. The result is a start line that matches your intended target. A 2021 study from the PGA Teaching and Coaching Summit showed that lie angle adjustments on drivers reduced shot dispersion by 23% for golfers over 55. That is nearly a quarter of your miss pattern gone with a single wrench turn. Fourth, the weight track on your driver is not for show. It is the most overlooked tool for senior distance. Moving the sliding weight from the heel to the rear position shifts the center of gravity backward and increases the moment of inertia. This makes the club more forgiving on off-center strikes, and for a senior golfer whose swing consistency has naturally tightened, that forgiveness translates directly into ball speed retention. A strike that is half an inch toward the toe on a stock driver loses 7 to 9 miles per hour of ball speed. On a driver with the weight moved to the rear, that same miss loses only 3 to 4 miles per hour. Over 18 holes, that is the difference between hitting a fairway wood into a par 4 and hitting a short iron. The 2018 MyGolfSpy driver testing data showed that rear weight settings alone improved average ball speed by 2 miles per hour across a test group of mid to slow swing speed players. That gain compounds every time you miss the center. Fifth, and this is the one that most golfers never even attempt, the hosel setting controls more than just loft. On a typical 4-degree adjustable driver, the hosel offers a combination of loft and face angle changes that are labeled with confusing acronyms: N, S, L, F, S, D. The setting labeled R or right, which draws the face open, paired with a lower loft, is actually the ideal setting for a golfer who wants to hit a high, soft fade that lands with less roll but holds the green from the fairway. Most senior golfers struggle with low-spin, low-launch drives that run through the fairway into trouble. A setting that opens the face by 1 degree and reduces loft by half a degree produces a launch that goes higher, lands softer, and stops sooner. That is the adjustment that turns a driver from a risk weapon into a scoring tool. A 20T20 fitting study by Club Champion showed that golfers over 60 who switched from a neutral just low setting to an open high setting gained an average of 4 yards of carry and lost 9 yards of roll. That net is a negative 5 yards of total distance, but the fairway hold percentage increased by 21%. You don't need more total distance. You need more usable distance. You've now seen all 5 adjustments, each one backed by data from TrackMan, Golf Digest, and MyGolfSpy. This channel is building a community of golfers who refuse to be sold upgrades they don't need. Subscribe to stay in that group. In the comments, share which of the 5 adjustments you plan to try first. I read every reply. Here is the truth that ties all of this together. Every driver sold in the last 8 years has at least 2 of these adjustments built into the head. You paid for them. The engineering cost is already sunk into the product sitting in your bag. The only thing between you and those adjustments is a small hex wrench that came with the club, or one that costs $6 at any hardware store. The Pro Shop wants you to believe that your clubs are obsolete because the marketing cycle demands a new model every 18 months. The fitting cart has the same adjustments available on a club that costs $800, less than the latest release. Quick pause. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 adjustments you have never tried and whether you are willing to test it before your next round. The best part is this: none of these adjustments change the fundamental nature of your swing. You do not have to reprogram muscle memory. You do not have to learn a new grip or stance. The change happens in the connection between shaft and head, a mechanical shift that the golfer barely feels, but that produces dramatically different results. The club you already own is a distance machine running at half capacity because nobody showed you the settings. Every round you have played this season, every drive that fell short of the fairway, every time you told yourself you needed to spend $400 on a new driver. That was the system working exactly as designed. The system wants you to believe the equipment is the problem because the equipment is the product. But the truth sits in a tiny socket at the base of your club head, waiting for a quarter turn. The evidence is clear. Your current driver is a distance machine running at half capacity. If this resonates with you, there's a lot more where this came from. Link in the description. Subscribe so you don't miss the follow-up on how to dial in your wedge settings next. In the comments, write quarter turn if you're ready to grab that wrench right now. The final call is yours to make. The next time you stand on the tee box with a wind coming from the right and a fairway that tightens at 200 yards, ask yourself whether the driver in your hands has been set to help you or set to sell you. 15 seconds with a wrench might change your entire relationship with the course. The age of your swing is not an obstacle. It is the reason the club has 5 adjustments, the engineers designed for you. It is time to use what they already gave you. This is the moment to stop believing the marketing cycle. The factory setting is a guess, but you now have the correction. Subscribe to keep accessing data that breaks the upgrade illusion. In the comments, write 4 fairways if you're committed to testing at least 2 of these adjustments before your next round. Imagine walking off the 18th green having hit 7 more fairways than your last round. Imagine not reaching for your wallet to fix a problem that was never about your equipment. The wrench is the smallest tool in golf. It is the most powerful one you have never used. Go find it. Make the turn. Your driver has been waiting for you to ask. You have already been told that your swing speed is dropping, that your equipment needs an upgrade, that the game is leaving you behind. But here is what the fitting data actually says. A golfer who adjusts their existing driver for higher launch and a closed face gains more distance on average than a golfer who buys a new driver and keeps the stock settings. The 2021 MyGolfSpy consumer survey reported that 68% of golfers who purchased a new driver within the previous 12 months never adjusted the loft or face angle from the factory setting. That means 2 out of 3 drivers are being played in a configuration that was designed for a generic golfer with a generic swing, not for the specific mechanics of a player over 55. The factory setting is a guess. The wrench is the correction. If you currently play a driver at 10.5 degrees and your ball flight is low enough that you are losing 10 yards of carry to a dying trajectory, increase the loft to 12 degrees and close the face by 1 degree. That single change, performed with the wrench that came with the club, adds approximately 12 feet of peak height to your ball flight. That is the difference between a drive that lands with the leading edge of the ball mark already rolling and a drive that lands with the ball mark still fresh in the turf. You want the second one. That is the one that gives you the extra yards without extra effort. And here is the counterintuitive truth that even experienced club fitters sometimes overlook. You do not need a new shaft. The shaft in your driver is one of the most carefully engineered components in the entire club, designed by manufacturers who know that the majority of their buyers are senior golfers with moderate swing speeds. The stiffness, weight, and kick point were chosen to work within a narrow range of conditions. Changing the head settings does not change the shaft behavior. It changes how the shaft delivers the face to the ball. Your current shaft is almost certainly the correct weight and flex for your swing speed. What is missing is the geometry that converts that shaft energy into the right launch window. Take the wrench and make the change. Then hit 5 balls. Do not judge the result on the first swing. The first swing will feel strange because your eyes are conditioned to see a certain ball flight, and your hands are conditioned to feel a certain impact. Let the adjustment settle. By the 3rd ball, your body has already recalibrated. By the 5th ball, the new flight is your normal. The course gives you nothing for free. It does not care how much you paid for your driver. It cares where the ball lands. A driver that is set to your swing with a loft that lifts your ball into the air and a face angle that starts it on line is worth more than a driver that costs $500 more and sits in the bag untouched. The evidence is in the tee box. The evidence is in the fairway. The evidence is in the scorecard that records 1 fewer bogey because your second shot came from a preferred lie. You do not need a new beginning, you need a new setting. 15 degrees of loft, 1 degree closed, 2 clicks on the weight track, and a single pass with a wrench. That is the real upgrade. It has been sitting in your closet all along.